Do you remember a few years back when it seemed like every new movie that was coming out was either a sequel, a remake, or a reboot? And influencers and media outlets would talk about how this lack of originality was putting Hollywood in a death spiral, with no new innovations or interesting ideas making it to the forefront, because they were untested and therefore considered unprofitable by studio executives, creating this unsustainable cycle that made a ton of money at first, but then led to things like the death of Marvel, because you can't keep on giving people the same thing and expect them to keep on wanting it. Well, it seems like Nashville looked at this and thought to themselves, hey, what a great idea! Because today, every other fucking country song that makes it to radio is an interpolation of some other superior work that's meant to evoke a sense of nostalgia out of listeners who've probably only been listening to the same classic rock radio station on their commute every morning for the past 3 decades. Signaling that the bar is currently lower than ever to make it in country music, if you are willing to pander to the lowest common denominator, and if you can keep a straight face when you're introducing this brand new song that you wrote by changing a few lyrics to a classic rock song. While this phenomenon certainly isn't limited to country music, it does feel especially prevalent in Nashville at the present moment. If this was like 1 or 2 songs, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. But these just keep on coming. It's like having Chipotle for dinner every single night. Yeah, it's not every meal I'm having, and sure, in theory it's full of a bunch of stuff I like, and yeah, I guess it kind of reminds me of real Mexican food, but give me it for a couple of days and I'm gonna start getting sick of it. And look, I'm not 100% down on the idea of interpolation or otherwise referencing other artists' works in song. At its best, interpolation can be a way to create points of comparison or contrast by evoking the themes and feelings of another work, or to pay tribute to the influence of artists and works that have come before and why they're important to the writer or performer. But my god, if you're gonna dip your toe into interpolation, it has to be clever, it has to be poignant, and it has to offer something of value. Look, I'm gonna acknowledge that what makes an interpolation good or bad is somewhat ambiguous and open to debate. There are probably gonna be some things I say in this video that you might not fully agree with. That's fine. But I think it's important to talk about this trend, because right now, Nashville has seemingly gone all in on repackaging older, better songs to try and make radio hits that exploit people's nostalgia. And as music fans and artists, we need to understand why this is happening, why it sucks, what we can do about it, and try and figure out what comes next. Because if we don't, more and more beloved classic songs are going to succumb to a modern country makeover, and I just can't accept that as being inevitable. Why does this suck? Well, because frankly, it's usually more or less a blatant cash grab, built on leveraging the listener's reverence for the original work, while offering nothing new or original in return. Jason Isbell caught a lot of flack for this comment a while back.
I think you should listen to good music and not listen to bad music. When I get angry about something being widely consumed and hugely successful that I think really sucks and is really formulaic and, corporate and just crap, that's why it makes me mad. That's why I can't just say we're all fine listening to whatever we want to listen to, because I do think there's some kinds of art that make you a better person.
This type of soulless, exclusively commercial approach to songwriting is exactly what he was talking about, in my opinion. Songwriting has a powerful ability to connect with people on an emotional level, to make people feel joy, love, loss, longing, determination, and of course, nostalgia. A song evoking a sense of nostalgia isn't necessarily a bad thing. Listening to a song like Sturgill Simpson's Pan Bowl might make you think about your own childhood, and remember the people and places that were important to you back then and how they affected you. Songs can be an important window into the past that make us take stock of the ways that we've grown and changed. Maybe that song for you is John Mellencamp's Jack and Diane. Maybe you grew up in the Midwest in the 70s and 80s, and the story told in this song reminds you of the people you grew up with. You remember listening to this song when it came out, and how it made you feel then. So you have an emotional attachment with the song now that's rooted in a sense of nostalgia. Now imagine, 35 years later, someone in Nashville has an idea, knowing full well what this song means to a generation of people. Sits down with 3 other songwriters to write a song about 2 people listening to Jack and Diane and the way it makes those 2 people feel. They make sure the characters in the song are feeling a little nostalgic listening to Jack and Diane, because they know that their listener can relate to that, but really only if they're paying close enough attention to the lyrics to get an idea. Hey, you know what would really remind people of Jack and Diane? The exact same instrumental. Just those big chords, those two little bass hits. Yeah, maybe we'll put a little bit of acoustic guitar sheen on there, a little bit of banjo or whatever, but other than that, just no changes. Just really hit them over the head with it. It's just musical candy. It doesn't make Jack and Diane any better. It doesn't challenge the listener to think about the song in a different way, or offer a new take on it. All it says is, hey, remember that song you like? Interpolation in music is nothing new, but this vapid use of interpolation for commercial gain at the expense of artistic expression is a more recent phenomenon. Country music is deeply rooted in folk traditions, and at its core, it's a reminder of who we are and where we came from. And because of those folk roots, country music is fertile ground for musical interpolations. Folk songs historically have been built from taking ideas from other songs and adapting, modifying, or building upon them. I'll give you an example. Woody Guthrie's This Land Is Your Land, one of the most famous protest songs of the mid-20th century, borrowed its vocal melody from a Baptist gospel hymn that the Carter family had recorded. Now, Guthrie changed the vocal melody some, but you can hear the similarity between the two here.
This land is your land, and this land is my land, from California to the New York Island. Oh, loving mother, when the world's on fire, don't you want God's bosom to be your pillow?
However, there's a key difference between what's happening here and what's happening in the modern sense. In the folk tradition, interpolation is a tool for artistic expression. In the modern context that we're discussing today, interpolation is a symptom of blatant commercialism. I doubt Woody Guthrie was thinking, I'm going to sell a ton of records when he wrote This Land Is Your Land. But I guarantee whatever committee of Nashville writers spit out Young Love and Saturday Nights, a brazen ripoff of David Bowie's Rebel Rebel, were trying to write a song with the purpose of writing a hit.
Old drugs, young love, and Saturday night.
That's textbook pandering.
As best as I can tell, this modern, commercially driven brand of interpolation can probably be traced back to everyone's favorite Michigan Confederate, Robert Ritchie, aka Kid Rock. His 2007 mega hit All Summer Long sampled two beloved classic rock songs, Lynyrd Skynyrd's Sweet Home Alabama and Warren Zevon's Werewolves of London, combining the instrumentals on top of one another and writing new lyrics that even poked references at it. The idea of mashing these two songs up wasn't really anything all that new and original. The songs share the same chord structure and tempo. Bar bands had already figured this out long before Kid Rock did it. However, the enduring success of All Summer Long had to signal to label executives that there was money to be made by directly playing to people's nostalgia. This was likely confirmed in the late 2010s and early 2020s, as popular interpolations such as Ariana Grande's Seven Rings started making their way to pop airwaves to great success. Nashville often takes cues from trends in pop music, and I'm sure executives saw dollar signs. So, writers started chasing this trend, and the rest is history. Interpolation comes in a variety of shapes and sizes, some more subtle, some painfully on the nose. But when I think about what I categorize as a good interpolation and a bad interpolation, I think the key factor there is my sense of what the intent was. And I know that's very vague, so hear me out. I'll give you an example of something that I think is a great interpolation. Midland's 2019 song Put the Hurt on Me makes reference to Roberta Flack's iconic Killing Me Softly with His Song by borrowing elements for the chorus, but it does it in a way that feels respectful toward the original while still evolving it into something new and different. And this song sounds beautiful. Even as an interpolation, it sounds very inspired and earnest, something that I can't say about a song like Country Girls Just Wanna Have Fun, where I swear to God you can hear Mackenzie Carpenter sighing as she's singing it. And I don't even mind something like Shabuzi doing an interpolation of Jaquan, because I think stylistically, he evolved the song enough that it stands alone as its own original work. And that's the thing. Like I said earlier, there are different degrees of interpolation. Some songs might just make a few references, or borrow a melody for a few lines, while others take it too far and are basically just a full-on redo of the original song with different words but the exact same music and melody. And a song like Low Cash's Isn't She Country is just a bridge too far. It's obvious, it's dumb. What started as Stevie Wonder's beautiful tribute to the birth of his daughter gets bastardized into some down-home gooning over a girl who is described as Isn't She Blue Jeans.
A rural noun, simple adjective.
And I'm sorry, but fuck that. Fuck that. And I can't possibly think of any scenario where someone's gonna deep fry the lyrics to Isn't She Lovely, other than that they think it's gonna make them a ton of money. Since it's impossible to really gauge the intent on every single Interpolation song out there, you gotta rely on that trusty old BS detector. Does it feel forced? Does it feel like bad karaoke? Does it feel like it's trying to get you to think, hey, I remember this song and I like it a lot. Well, this song's a lot like that song, so I think I'll like this song too. If you answered yes to that, well, probably not an accident. And the thing is, no matter how done to death some of these songs are, their interpolations always pale in comparison to the original. You cannot convince me for 1 second that anyone has ever been riding in their buddy's car, heard Take Me Home Country Roads come on and gone, oh hey, I got something better. You boys like Machine Gun Kelly and Jelly Roll? You can't even convince me that that's happened with Drift Away and Chevrolet, which is already a hokey song to begin with, but the original is definitely better. Yeah, we've all heard On the Road Again so many times at this point that it borders on cliche. But if you ever catch me putting on Jake Owen's On the Boat Again instead of Willie's original, just set me on fire. Just go ahead and do that. That's not me. That's one of those monsters from John Carpenter's The Thing. Nah, just go ahead. I'm done. How do we fix this? To be honest, I don't know. The thing about Top 40 Radio is it's always going to appeal more to the casual music fan. And nostalgia has a powerful way of tricking us into liking and accepting things that are usually really just average at best. Really, the only way this trend dies is if audiences stop reacting to it. The ultimate reason that Nashville keeps on churning these songs out is because people are tuning in and listening to them. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. And I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a big country music fan. I'm not a big pop or radio country fan. Tyler Childers, Turnpike Troubadours, Silverado, that's my shit. And let me tell you, all of those artists have written songs that reference or interpolate other pieces of music. Play Me a Hank song references lines from a few different Hank Williams songs. Something to Hold On To pulled its title from a line in John Prine's Angel from Montgomery. And Paycheck to Paycheck pays tribute to outlaw artist Johnny Paycheck's biggest hit, Take This Job and Shove It. But I don't get the sense from listening to any of these songs that there's any sort of cash grab going on here. Yes, these artists and writers are in bands that make money from playing shows and selling records. But you actually get a sense that they care about the art that they're making and take great pride in it. I have a hard time believing that whoever wrote Isn't She Country takes any sort of pride in it. And if they do, well, they shouldn't. And I'm also never going to be out at a brewery or grocery store and hear Something to Hold On To come on and be disappointed that it's not Angel from Montgomery. Because they only borrowed a few lines from it, not an entire musical idea for an entire song. If I'm out in public and I hear I Was Jack and You Were Dianne come on, I'm going to be really disappointed once I realize it's not John Mellencamp. You can tell me I'm biased, and honestly you might be right, but I can't imagine any of those artists I mentioned putting out as blatant of a ripoff as Lonely Road for the exact same reason I can't imagine them putting out a song like Beer 30. Taste and integrity. If we could get more of that in country music and less of this, we would be in a lot better shape. But that's going to be an uphill fight. Historically, the music industry is built on record labels exerting their financial power onto young artists who are desperate to make it big and will do anything to do it. And even though the power of the major labels has waned in recent years, the rise of the attention economy means that many up-and-coming artists will do just about anything to reach success, and the interpolation game is ripe for them. TikTok and social media as a whole is still a dominating force in the music industry, and artists will continue to play games that support their popularity on the algorithm, because they see it as the only way to achieve career success. Unfortunately, in this case, people are drawn to the familiar, and so these songs that play around with old tunes tend to do well there. The good news is, this will likely go away eventually. Trends in music tend to be cyclical, and we're already seeing some pushback from fans as this style of interpolation becomes more prevalent. I'm far from the first person to comment on this phenomenon. Pat Finnerty has already made a couple of videos about different country music interpolation songs that are far more entertaining and popular than anything I could possibly say about the matter. Which kinda means I'm just interpolating him. If there's one good thing that's come out of this, the fact that these songs keep getting renewed for new audiences just points to the enduring power of the original. I guarantee you in 10 years' time, nobody's gonna remember Lonely Road. But everybody's still gonna remember how to sing the first verse and chorus to Take Me Home Country Roads. Anything beyond that is a crapshoot if people know it or not, but first verse and chorus, guarantee you people will still know how to sing along to that. If you happen to be a Nashville songwriter watching this, and maybe you've even written one of these interpolation songs, well, first off, hi. But more importantly, I just want you to know that you are so much better than this. Country music has this amazing ability to highlight the lives and struggles of average people, and connect deeply with us and bring us together over our shared experiences. It's a rare opportunity to be a part of this genre in a way where you can make a meaningful impact. So don't waste your shot making some mediocre crap that might be a quick radio hit, but isn't going to have any enduring staying power. I guarantee you've written better songs than this, and songs that are more original. So I encourage you to celebrate that, and believe in the power of your own voice. One of the things that makes the original version of these songs so enduring is their originality. They stand out from the crowd on the merit of their own unique sound and point of view. There's a reason that these songs and artists have inspired so many imitators. Remember that. To bring this to a close, I really hope that we as music listeners can collectively stop engaging with this phenomenon so that it goes away before more songs get the interpolation treatment. Do we really want I'm on Fire to get turned into Muddy Tires? Don't Fear the Reaper to be Virginia Creeper? Goodbye Red Dirt Road? Break On Through to the Countryside? No art is truly sacred. And stealing pieces of others' work to turn into something new has been part of songwriting and really most other art forms since the beginning of time. But even if On the Road Again isn't something sacred, it's still important and means something to a lot of people. And so if it's going to be interpolated into a new piece of music, it should be done out of reverence, not for the sake of exploitation. Alright, I'm sick of talking about this. If you want to hear some great music, check out Lance Rourke's 10 Killer EP or the brand new Muscadine Bloodline album that just came out a few weeks ago. I've been listening to both of those a lot this week, and they're really great, and I'd love to share them with you. I'm Brent Funkhauser from Red Moon Media, and if you enjoy great songwriting in Americana and country music, and you hate shameless cash grabs from the recording industry, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, because all I talk about here is great roots music. Alright, thanks for watching.